Shalom, my name is Yair Davidiy, and I'm speaking to you from the land of Israel, and today we're about to discuss additional proof that amongst the Western peoples there were to be found descendants of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Originally there were 12 tribes of Israel. These 12 tribes divided into two different sections. The northern section was taken into exile by the Assyrians, split up into different parts, but over a period of time they all moved to the west, and they converged in western areas, and they were especially important in the British Isles, in Ireland, and in Britain, and Wales, and also in other parts of Western Europe. And they were important amongst the Celtic peoples, peoples of Celtic civilization, and after that peoples from Scandinavia, Germany, German speakers. Even though they weren't Germans, they were different, and they were Angles and Saxons and related peoples who eventually settled in the British Isles, or they were peoples who stayed in Germany until the 1700s, when most of them moved out to the USA, as we have proven elsewhere. At all events, the lost 10 tribes were in those areas. We don't say that all of the people in that region are descended from the Israelites. We are saying that it's where the lost 10 tribes are, and a significant portion of the peoples in that region, in that area, are descendants of Israel. They are from the lost 10 tribes of Israel, and they're not on the whole aware of their ancestry. So now we're going to take just one particular point of interest and discuss it. We are going to discuss peoples known in the Bible as Yair. Yair is usually transliterated in the Bible and biblical translations in English as Jair, J-A-I-R. In modern Hebrew is pronounced as Yair. It's the same name. My name is Yair. It's the same name, Yair. We find this name amongst the Western Celts, especially amongst the Irish, in the Irish tradition and the place names, and also in Scotland, and we find it in such a way that it proves that it relates back to ancient Israel. Because Yair was also an important person who's a name of a biblical personality. Actually, several biblical personalities who existed, and they had common traits, but they had common traits. They had different, even though they're different peoples, they had common characteristics that allowed or caused the traditions and the what was known concerning them to conflate into one image. And this is not, this actually happens quite often, especially in mythology, folklore, popular concepts. It also happens in our life. I'll give you an anecdote which is actually pertinent, an anecdote from my own life, and the very name Yair, which illustrates this. So my name is Yair, and this name is quite common in Israel. It's a popular name, but it's not like, it's not that common. It's known. It's not like Tom, John, Joe. It's more like Frank, like Barry. It's more like, it's a name that is known, but it's not the most common name. And but anyway, this name of mine, I was incidentally I was brought up in Australia, and for a while I lived on a sheep farm, even though I don't know much about sheep apart from vaguely being able to recognise one when I see one. But I did live on a sheep farm for a period, for a short time, as a lodger, and apart from that I came to Israel. When I came to Israel, after moving around in different places for a good few years, I was living in Susia. In the Hebron Hills, actually south of the Hebron Hills towards Beersheba, on a settlement called Susia. And I was living on the property belonging to Yisrael Feld, who had a sheep farm. He had his own sheep farm, and he was developing his own type of sheep suited for that area, for the semi-desert arid regions that he lived in, and the sheep had to have certain quantities, and also to produce a high quality meat. And he was successful for a good time in doing this, until in the end, due to competition with the Jordanians. They started, after this I made peace with Jordan. They started selling sheep at half price, quarter price, and he couldn't take the competition. He had to fold up. But for a while he had an ongoing enterprise, one could say. And he had this sheep farm, a big sheep pen with all these sheep inside it. and it was just on the edge of the village, of the settlement where he lived, and on there, and in this sheep pen, beside the sheep pen, there was a little cottage, a little caravan, one could say. And I lived there. I lived in the caravan for a couple of years, and I didn't have much to do with the sheep. Oh, maybe I helped out here and there. On the whole, I did other work, other jobs, other things. I did my own thing. I wrote the books. I began to produce the tribes. The whole operation of Brit-Am began from there. And Yisrael assisted us in this. He was quite sympathetic towards us, and I lived there, and I lived in this area. And also I helped guard it. I helped guard it because you should know that in Israel there are thefts. Arabs steal agricultural produce and livestock from Jewish farmers. And during the period when I was there, every single sheep farm, there aren't that many sheep farms in Israel, but there are a few, every single sheep farm was stolen from, was raided by Arab raiders, apart from the one, this one where I was staying on. So you could say my presence helped, must have helped to some degree, being there, and I was there, and I was, there aren't that many people in the village, so I was known, I was Yair, and I was a Yair who lived on the sheep farm. And Yair is not a common name, and not that many sheep, not that many sheep farmers, but it so happened that on this very same settlement of Susia, there was another person named Yair, who even looked a little like me, or I looked a little like him, and there were similarities between us. I was of Anglo-Saxon cultural origin, so was he. He had a blonde beard, so did I then. There were similarities between us, but Yair was much more important. He had his own thing going. He raised sheep. He also raised sheep and goats, and he believed in natural living, getting back to nature. He'd take them out and graze them on the hills, and he and his family, his wife and his children, and they're all involved in this, and they set up their own little houses and wore the clothes that they made themselves. And yeah, he was quite a philosopher. He was quite an intelligent person. His wife used to make different cheeses and all kinds of yogurts and all kinds of other foodstuffs from the milk of the sheep, which is sold all over Israel. And not only that, due to his outlook on life and his philosophy, quite a few people in the course of time would come and stay with him and learn from him and experience what he had to impart to them. And he was also known, he was well known, he's known Yair of the sheep. So we have in this little place, we have two people with the same name, with some general similarities between them, both somehow or other associated with people's minds with sheep. Why? Because later on a lady author, wrote a book called A Settler's Wife. I don't forget what the name was, but it was a popular book. It was also translated into French. And it was quite widely read amongst Jewish and non-Jewish people. And it mentioned in that book, she mentions in a few places, apparently as anecdotes concerning Yair of the sheep. And people who knew me, they didn't know the other Yair, were convinced that it was about me, that the person concerned was me, but it wasn't. It was the other person, the other Yair. Anyway, so this just shows how there is such a thing as coincidence in life, and different peoples and different personages can have the same attributes and even come together, so that images concerning them are conflated, are joined together. Incidentally, this person Yair, he was a hero. He did a lot of help. He helped a lot of people. He also helped expand the Jewish settlement in that region. And he believed in cooperating with the Arabs and living together with them in peace. And they thought he was crazy, and they have a superstition that someone who is crazy, it's bad luck to hurt him. So for a while they left him alone. But eventually they got hold of him, tortured him to death, killed him, and mutilated his body. So we should be warned that people who believe that you can get along with Arabs, they might not be on the right path. Apart from that, we are now discussing Yair. There are at least 3 people in the Bible called Yair, and they all lived more or less in the same area, and they all similarities concerning them, and they were all somehow either connected with the peoples of Gilead and Manasseh, And so we'll go into this. We'll just discuss this, and then we'll bring the pertinence to it, how we find a pertinence to this background in Irish traditions. We have Yair. This person named Yair. And it says, Numbers 34, verses 38 onwards, it says, "And the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh." Manasseh was the two sons of Joseph. Joseph was the main tribe, the most important tribe amongst the Israelites. He had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Machir was the firstborn son of Manasseh. So, one of the sons of Machir, a descendant of Machir, of Manasseh, was called Gilead. And apparently Gilead, one of the sons of Gilead was called Yair. And we are told that the children, one of the descendants of Machir was called Gilead, was Gilead, and from Gilead came Yair. It says, "And the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took and dispossessed the Amorite which was in it. And Moses gave Gilead unto Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt therein. And Yair, the son of Manasseh, went and took the small towns thereof and called them Havoth Yair." In other words, the villages of Yair, in the land of Manasseh, east of the Jordan. And it goes on. And then we also find in Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 14 to 15, Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 14 to 15, "Yair, the son of Manasseh, to call the country of Argob unto the coast of Geshuri and Maha, and called them after his own name, Bashan, Havoth, Yair." Another the villages of Yair, which are in Bashan, Havoth, Yair. Unto this day, and I gave Gilead unto Manasseh. So here we have it. We have the name of a group of people descended from Yair, the son of Manasseh, and how they received their portion, or received an area east of the Jordan, and they named it Havoth Yair, or the villages of Yair. Other explanations. We are now going to give our explanation according to our understanding. But just in general, we should say that there are other explanations of these verses. There is an opinion going back several centuries that saying that Yair and Machir were the sons of Manasseh, and whilst they were in Egypt, they sent people back to the land of Canaan, and they developed it, and they somehow took a certain degree of control in it. And so when they came out of Egypt, their descendants were sent by Moses to retake the areas that their forefathers had asserted some degree of control over previously. That is one explanation. The other explanation is that when he speaks of Yair, the son of Gilead of Manasseh, taking these lands, he means the descendants of Yair, which is also biblical parlance, it's biblical terminology. It is quite acceptable, and we find other instances of this in the Bible, and that is the view that we take in this instance. At all events, we hear of another person called Yair. It is in 1 Chronicles chapter 2. And throughout the chapter 2 in 1 Chronicles, he mentions the sons of Judah, Phares and Zerah, sons of Phares, Hezron and Hamel. And afterwards Hezron went into the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead, whom he married when he was 60 years old, and she bare him Segub. The Segub begat Yair 23 cities in the land of Gilead, and he took Geshur and Aram, the towns of the Yair, Havoth Yair, from them with Kenath and towns thereof, 60 cities. All this belongs to the sons of Machir, the father of Gilead. So what he is saying, so the different ways to understand these verses, but according to the simple, straightforward level as we understand it, Judah received his land west of the Jordan River. And Judah had sons. He had sons and grandsons, and they had children, and they increased and multiplied. So one of the clans of Judah was known as Phares. And from Phares we have Hezron and Hamel. And one of the heroes was known as Hezron. And in his old age, 63 is not that old to my way of thinking, but other people might think so. He took a daughter, an additional wife, a daughter from one of the daughters of Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he had children from her. Hezron married the daughter of Machir, the father of Gilead, and from this union came Segub, and Segub begat Yair, and then apparently Yair was in the region of Machia, east of the Jordan, of his mother's people. He had moved there, and he went and he took cities and he established settlements, and amongst the cities that he took was an area known as Havoth Yair. Apparently the original Yair had established settlements, as we read, and amongst the cities that Yair took and re-established were those known as Havoth Yair, and he re-established them and expanded them. That is what the Book of Chronicles is telling us. That is the second person named Yair. Yair, the son of Segub, from Judah, who settled amongst the people of Machia, of Manasseh, and he established and expanded upon the existing settlements already known as the villages of Yair. And then we have another person known as Yair the Gilead in Judges 10 verses 3 onwards, and this person Yair was in the same area, or in the general area also east of the Jordan, of Manasseh, of Gilead, east of the Jordan, and he had a lot of children. He had 30 sons. He also established cities in that area, and he called these cities, or these townships, Havoth Yair. He gave the villages of Yair. He gave them the same name, and perhaps he built on those that had already been established before him, because it was a couple of 100 years after the first ones. So here we have three people in the same area with the same name, doing more or less the same thing, but they are distinctly different personages. But later on we can easily see how in popular consciousness the images of these three, the characteristics of them, would be conflated into one person. We find in Irish mythology people's name Yair and a hero's name Yair, or names based upon the name Yair. Before we continue with that, it is worth noting that these peoples known as Yair, these peoples descended from Yair of his son of Segub from Judah, and Yair the son of Machia of Manasseh and Gilead, and Yair the Gileadite. They apparently, not only did they establish settlements and expand upon these settlements in the same region, giving them the same name, but there was a whole group of people comprised of their followers and their descendants known as the Iari, named after them. And these people are recalled in Assyrian inscriptions about the people, and the Assyrian inscriptions tell us of the Iari, Iari, or different combinations or permutations of the same name, apparently belonging to Manasseh, who were in that area, the general area which the Bible says, and also reaching up to the Euphrates, which the Bible also says the descendants of Manasseh did, and sometimes even expanding eastward of the Euphrates and having important townships, and sometimes raiding the area and being a known power in that region. So that this corresponds with what the Bible tells us. So here we have an external source confirming what the impressions we received from the Bible concerning these descendants of Yair, the Iari, in this region. Because later on we also found this same name and this same group recorded in Irish literature and Irish traditions. Keating made a compilation of different traditions concerning Irish traditions, and he mentions in his book, he mentions Iari, the son of the prophet, one of the sons of Nemed. He also mentions Ia, the son of Nema, and there's also other Joruanel, Iarbanel, Iarbonel, and different peoples with this name, all considered by the experts to be more or less referring to the same personage. And Yair is considered the son of Nimha. Nimha was the father of the Numidians. The Numidians have a name meaning divided, separated, consecrated, which is similar to the name Perish in Hebrew. Perish, from where we have the Pharisee. The word Pharisee also comes from the same source, means separated, consecrated, holy. Perish was one of the sons of Manasseh in Gilead, and apparently he too was in the same region as the descendants of Yair would have been. So we have this same name, or the meaning of this name, connected with Yair in Irish mythology. Not only that, but we have source saying that the Ia was connected with Nimhar, the Pharisee, also was known as Ka, the eloquent, or the just, from Judah. That he was also from Judah. He had another name, Ka, and he was from Judah. And this corresponds with what we know, that the personage of Yair also had an element from Judah in them through Segub, the son of Hezron. And this is what Keating says. And we find Charles Valency in 1786 said that Ireland, the whole of Ireland, was known as Iarnak or Iarinak. Yair and Iari are the same. In other words, the whole of Ireland was named after Iari. We find peoples known as Iari in Ireland. French historian Hubert on the Celts also mentions them. We also find this name in Scotland. South East Ireland, the people of South East Ireland, the Ernie regarded Iari as their ancestor. And we have Iar Banil is also another related name connected to them. And so this is of importance. We find the same association in Irish tradition as Iar of Israel in ancient times, of the Yair. And we also find in Irish tradition some type of connection with the Gaber. So to the land of Israel, that this name Gaber was also found. Gaba in Hebrew means overcome, be strong, be a hero. Gibor is another name for hero. So as we mentioned in another talk, we have the Gibari, and we have Ben Geber, the son of Geber, and also we have the name Gabriel from the same root. Gabriel, in other words, the hero, the mighty man of God, as if to say Gabriel, the angel. Have this name Geber or Ben Geber, the son of Geber, and these are mentioned. That Geber and the son of Geber are two of the 12 administrators of King Solomon. King Solomon divided the whole land of Israel into 12 different sections, and in the east section he placed Geber and the son of Geber over the region of Gilead, over the region where Yair would have been. And so we have see here the establishment of a dynasty. We also find the house of Geber, the same name Geber, in the northeast, where we have an entity from Judah. We find an entity from Judah in what is now southeast Turkey, connected with also a segment, an element from Dan. And here too the rulers were known as the house of Geber, from the same root. And so too we find here this section known as Yadi, which means Judah, in southeast Turkey. We find a segment associated with Geber, known as a name meaning Judah, and we saw how Segub gave rise to Yair, and Yair himself was from Judah, but he had lived amongst Manasseh. And so we find this segment in this region of Yadi of Judah in southeast Turkey, close to where the Iari were recorded in Assyrian records. So here we have an association of people from Judah with the Iari, neighbouring them or part of them. And we also have the house of Geber. And we notice that Geber and the son of Geber were apparently a ruling element in this area. So remember, we have this association. And so too we find in Ireland, a similar combination. The name Geber, or associations with Geber, is known throughout the Celtic world. What is now Holland was Bavaria, in Scotland, amongst different peoples. And also we have a place named Gabran in Kilkenny in Ireland, and we have a group of people known as the Gabrage or Gabir in East Ireland, otherwise known as the Lagin. In Scotland we have the settlement Gabrocenters, and so we have this name Geber, or associated with different peoples, and more or less in the same region or similar related areas to where we find descendants of Yair, of Iar, of the Iari, both in Scotland and in Ireland, as we found in ancient Hebrew, as we found in ancient Israel. Thank you very much. May the God of Israel bless you. Thank you.